Join me as I create these dancing fairy earrings featuring some vintage lucite beads that were available in this month's May Treasure subscription box. If you don't get the box, you surely can. Check the link below the description here to get the list of products or to get your chance to grab the box. So to begin our dancing fairy earrings, you're going to want to gather your materials either from your May Treasure subscription box to make a beautiful pair featuring the chain, beads, and head pins that were in the box, making your own ear wires as well. Or you can gather up some designs and from our lucite floral collection. I'm going to be using some brown, some 5mm check glass rounds, 4, 5s, 3s, as many as you want, and then some of the Potomac's chain. I'm going to be using rose gold to show the difference and the beautiful browns with the rose gold. And the first thing we're going to do actually is cut our chain. So the length of the chain really is up to you and what you want as far as how long the actual flowers or the middles hang from it. I'm going to cut 3 pieces and I'm going to cut 2 of each of those 3 lengths. So we're going to cut 6 total pieces and I'm going to estimate exactly where I want these to hang down. There's 1. I'm going to lay the chain next to it, make sure that I'm cutting at the same place, 2, and that's my first length. It's always better to go ahead and cut the chain a little bit longer than you think you're going to need it if you're not exactly sure, rather than shorter, because you can't add to the chain. You can always take away. So I'm going to cut a piece that's about a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, and a little bit shorter even than that. Once I cut them, I like to separate them out into 2 different piles, one for the right, one for the left, one for the right, one for the left. That way when you're picking up the chain, you make sure that you are selecting again the correct chain for your design. And you're not making it all with one size and then another one with the other. A little hint that you can do to go in and make sure that you have the same chain length is to take something like a head pin, hang down the chain on the head pin, and then you can make sure that you cut it into equal lengths as you see it dangle. My chain then goes off to the side and I separate these 2, one on one side, one on the other. From here we're going to go in and move this scrap out of the way. Great to pick that up with your bead vac. Go in now and put all of your beads on head pins. You can use rose gold, you can use gold. These are just what I had in the studio here for creation, so I'm using these beads. You can see that the head pins are way longer than they need to be to create the design. For the design that I created during a Facebook Live unboxing, we used the 2-inch head pins that were included in the subscription box this month and used that same additional wire to create our ear wires. After putting on all of the drops, you're going to go in with your round nose pliers. Hold right above the bead. I'm making a small loop by holding it down towards the very front of my round nose plier. Hold the bead, turn that plier to the side. It's going to be about a 45-degree angle. Take that wire and bring it over the top of your round nose plier. Take it from the top jaw and rotate your hand. See how the jaws of the pliers rotated? You're rotating your hand to go from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, and then you're moving the wire over and under to the left to create that nice little loop. Go ahead and cut off the extra wire right before it crosses over itself, and you're going to repeat that 6 total times to get your little beads that are going to fall from the bottom of the chain. The extra wire that you have, keep and put to the side to use for a future project. After creating all of your eye pins, what you're going to want to do is attach them all to the bottom of all of the pieces of the chain, then close back up that eye pin, keeping them separate. When you notice that the chain will have different lengths, whatever length you put them onto your eye pin that we're about to create with that scrap, you want to make sure that you do the same for each earring, that you hang them in the same order. Just makes it a little bit nicer and makes it a little bit more professional looking. First thing we're going to do is use some of that scrap for this project, making an eye pin. So I'm going to hold the wire back into the round nose plier, holding the wire, and I kind of rotate the plier halfway around, open it up and release the jaws, and halfway around again. That creates a little eye pin. I put my wire back in and kind of straighten it out so that way it looks like If I have the eye pin and I draw an imaginary line, it's coming straight out from the bottom. This eye pin is going to be tucked up inside your flower. You're not going to see it, so if it's not exactly there, don't worry about it. From here, I'm going to go in and open that up a little bit, and I'm going to start sliding on my chain. So on goes the first one here, going with the shortest first, and just like a shepherd's hook here, I'm going to hook on to that chain. Open it up, hook onto the chain, open it up, hook onto the chain. Once you have all 3 pieces of your chain hooked onto the wire, you are going to close up that little loop. So I'm going to close that loop up, making sure that it's nice and tightly closed eye pin. And then we're going to put it inside of our cap here. You can now see whether or not it's long, short, or if you want to change it to make it a little bit different in length, that's completely up to you. All you would do is take off that little bit, or take your chain off the loop and then simply raise it a tiny bit so the beads are there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and then our last step is to add a bead to the top, coil it over, and add our ear wires. The next thing we're going to do after putting that eye pin inside of the earring is put a bead on the top. Hold with your needle nose pliers turning to the side. Grab your round nose pliers, and I'm just going to make the tiniest little loop. If you want to wire wrap that loop, you're more than welcome to do so. I did so in the sample piece, just a little bit around the top. This one here, I don't want too much gold at the top. I just like the gold to accentuate the yellow beads. And once I have that done, I'm going to open up my eye pin that I just created, slide it onto my ear wire, and then close it up to finish it off. If you want to create your own ear wire, you can use some of that scrap wire, creating a little eye pin here, just like we did at the bottom. Instead of rounding it out, all you do is grab a pen, marker, something to bend around, bend that straight out, cut it down, and you can create your own ear wire as well out of those head pins. I'm using these little ball rose gold ones. I think they match really pretty with the chain that I'm using. On goes the flower, closing it up, and that finishes off your little dancing fairy earrings. Thanks so much for joining me in creating these dancing fairy earrings. They're really pretty and super lightweight for this time of year, which is great as we move into spring and we have our flowers blooming. Remember, if you want any of the supplies, go ahead and look below the video in the description, and we'll put links there to get to our website. You can either purchase the supplies individually or get a deal by purchasing our subscription treasure box. This was the May 2023 treasure box design. As always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos or design ideas from us here at Potomac Beads.